Hello, everybody. This is Jason from the Gathering Heritage Project, and we're on our final episode for 2020. We've collected some amazing interviews this year, but we're saving the best to last. So let me hand you over to Mr. Harry Lee.
Very good morning to you, or good afternoon, whenever you're listening to this recording. Yes, indeed. Now, the name Paula Kavanagh is of course, in photography. But Paula Kavanagh has been described as one of the most influential photographers in Ireland over the last century. And I don't think there's a person anywhere would disagree with that. But Paul left behind a treasure trove of 500,000 negatives. Paul's daughter Paula, who is a professional photographer with her own studio in Blackrock actually, and she's been working on a book about her dad, which includes 150 photographs of her dad's work. Now, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Paula to join me this morning. By the way, Jason will be coming in and out at the same time there. But Paula, you're very, very welcome.
Hiya, Harry. How are you?
Okay. And Paula, this must have been a labour of love. But how in God's name did you pick 150 pictures for your book?
I know, yeah. Actually, I think it's increased to 168 at this stage. But yeah, that was a huge mammoth task, really, because the more you look at the negatives, the more you think, well, that might be of interest. And then you'd put it down and you'd see something else. And then you'd say, no, maybe that would be of interest. And then you'd pick another 10. So yeah, in the end, what we did was we tried to just reflect my dad's life a little bit. So there's a bit of Dundalk, a bit of the Troubles, the Border area, the family, Donegal. So it's just snapshots, snippets really of his life and how he viewed it.
You see, Paula, this is something very interesting to me because it was my era when your dad was going around his 50s, 60s and everything like that. Yeah. And so it's for younger people, this is a book that they could look back on and see some absolutely brilliant, it'll be memories to us, but it's showing how years ago in the 50s and 60s that life was lived and no one picked it better than your dad. So the book is available at the moment, and this is, of course, I have seen it I haven't felt the book yet, but I've seen it on the website, and it is a brilliant present to buy for your friends at home or abroad. People living over in America and in England and all around the world will just absolutely adore this book. And I'm sure, Paula, that would be the market that you'd be looking for.
Yeah, absolutely, Harry. There's always been people asking me, I thought you did a book, they would say, or are you going to do a book? And in the end, we did it now. You know, obviously we wanted for family first and foremost, but there's always people interested in that era and that old Dundalk and how things have changed so much. And for some reason, my dad took photographs of things that you would think that they're of no importance at the time. And I don't know why he took those photographs, but he was very in tune with history and that might not be the same in 20 years' time. So he photographed it, you know, which is great to have that record. So yeah, a lot of people would be interested in that.
Yeah, and Paul, how can they buy the book?
Yeah, it's on my website, Harry. It's just you go to the shop section of my website and there it is. And I post it out to them wherever they are in the world. I'll get the message and post it out to them.
Okay, will we bring people through the journey?
Well, it's certainly, I can recommend it. It really is an absolutely some beautiful photographs. And the first photograph is up now on the screen. Now, this is synonymous with Dundalk for an awful lot of reasons. I remember Chipperfield Circus coming to town, but this, to me, Paula, is one of these photographs that show you. It's completely wrong in our mind now, and younger people, with the traffic going the other way.
Yeah,
The
that's right.
traffic's going both ways actually, and it's an absolute Chipperfield circus. It's all part of your dad's legacy, isn't it?
Yeah, so he, would have been, that was on a glass plate, Harry, and this is in 1957. So it's amazing the detail that's there, because obviously,
Yeah.
if a glass plate gets any light on it at all, or there's any shake in the camera, and it would have been an old box camera, maybe with bellows on it, I think he actually would have borrowed the camera. So it's amazing that he got this shot. And there's so many details in it,
Yeah, and Paula, we've done a lot on the shops in Dundalk, and they were never as clear as this. I mean, you can see there Jim Rice, and I see in the window of Jim Rice there that he used to sell the equivalent of the lotto years ago, the sweepstake tickets. You see Lucky Jim written down there in the window on the right-hand side. But all of the shops there that I didn't even know was there, Hardy's seed shop was there. And so it has taken, and it was taken from obviously upstairs in the Democrat.
Yeah, he would have been working there at the time, Harry. Now, there is another photograph in the book also, and it shows that he photographed it up near the Garda station up by the Crescent. So a word had obviously got out that the circus was coming to town. So he would have cycled up there and with this old camera and set it up with the glass plate and tried to position himself in a place where he could see the elephants. They would have been coming really from the train station, Harry.
Is that where they're coming in?
Yeah. So the circus would have arrived by train, and then he, after taking a couple of shots up there, he would have packed up his gear, cycled down, run up the stairs of the Democrat.
And the thing is, Paula, this will never happen again, because animals can't be used anymore in it.
Right.
Paula, just before we move from it, there's a van down there at the bottom of the picture. And now, just hold it there, Jason. It's something, do you see the number on it, IY? And when we were growing up, that was the number that it was for, not for loud, it was just, well, it must have been for loud. But I remember sitting on Hill Street Bridge taking the numbers of the cars. It was I don't know why, but we did. But that brings back great memories to me altogether. Wonderful. Now, tell me a little, just Paula, briefly about the mural about that picture and your dad.
Yeah, well, that section was incorporated by the artist Oman. There's a mural of my dad on Bachelor's Walk, gable end there, just near McAvoy's, and a graffiti artist painted that this year, and then he incorporated a little bit of this photograph of the elephants coming to town into that photograph. So he did a wonderful job.
The next time anyone is listening, go down Bachelor's Walk there and have a look at it. It's absolutely wonderful, and it's a great tribute to him to see that done there.
Okay,
now we're going to move down Earl Street. Now that's further down there, so we were at the square now. Now this, of course, in those days was known as the Market Square, Paula. We only call it the square now. But what I love about this, and this is the first time in all the years that I've been doing old photographs, that I actually can see the market house. All you could see before, but it was it's an awful pity that it was knocked down.
Yeah, well, it was there for about 200 years, Harry.
Yeah.
It was demolished then in 1968. So I don't know why my dad would have photographed it, but he might have got word that it might have been demolished. So he went up into the Queen's Hotel and he looked down at it and photographed it from that angle. Or perhaps he just liked the building. I don't know.
Yeah,
but all those shops and the market
they talked
all
those Donald McCardle shops and all of them at the front there. Yeah, it's a wonderful, I think that's a brilliant, one of the best that I've seen of the, as we call it, the square. But you know, when the camera moves away, it's really just time standing still there looking at that picture. Now, let's move on to something. As this actually now was a very very sad day for Dundalk, and
Yeah.
this was the car bomb which was left outside Kay's Tavern in 1975. And Paula, just before you talk to me about it, we should mention the two men as a result of the bomb, Jack
Mm-hmm.
Rooney and Hugh Waters, who lost their lives because of the bomb as a result of it. Tell me a little bit about it, Paula, because it really catches that night terrible. I remember it so well.
Yeah. Now, this photograph was taken the day after. The night of the photograph, a lot of it obviously was just flames. The photographs were all, you know, smoke, flames, chaos.
Yeah.
My dad was at home in St. Alphonsus Road when he heard the explosion, and he jumped in his car straight away and away with him. He hid behind the pillars of the town hall because he didn't know whether there was going to be another explosion or not.
Of course.
And started photographing straight away. And he worked all night. I remember that. The phone was ringing all night, and he was sending pictures to London, Dublin, everywhere, doing interviews, printing, up all night printing and getting stuff posted and packaged away. So yeah, that was horrific night.
And it takes it home, doesn't it, Paula? Just looking at it there, it takes it home. And the little bit of history that I would have on it, across the road from the town hall, there was a wee sweet shop called Logan's. P.T. Logan owned it, a wee wooden shop, and it was blown to pieces. And P.T. rebuilt the shop, and I eventually opened it as a wee shoe shop there for a good few years. But no, it takes you. It really does make you feel very sad to see what could have been worse, I suppose. Well, even the two. By the way, those two men, there's a lovely little monument to them on the wall outside the town hall. Anyone that's passing, just have a wee look at it and you'll see it there.
And that bombing was also, you know, a part of a coordinated, a bigger effort, really. There was a shooting and bombing in Silver Bridge the same night.
Yeah. It was a very, very serious night. Now, let's move on, Paula, and this is, which one are we on? Number 3, yeah. This is number 4 on it. Now, this is Park Street Picture House. Memories. That was we never went any further in Hill Street than down to Park Street. And the wonderful thing is, and there's so many stories over the years, Paul, about the name of the, I heard it called the Flame and the Arrow, but the right, I can see it there, yeah. And the Flame Araby. And tell me a little bit about that, Paula.
Well, you know, on a lighter note, Harry, my dad had a good sense of humour, so he would have noticed that the Flame of Araby was playing, and if you could notice the top of the building, the roof is gone, the smoke is coming up. So, you know, he probably thought that was quite funny, quite ironic. So he took that photograph.
What are the people doing outside? They look as if they're going into it.
I think they're just curious.
I think this is brilliant. Now, I know that your dad was he must have gone down every Christmas and getting so many different photographs, but he did a lot of photographs, funny ones and everything, from the turkey market at Kelly's Monument every year.
Yeah, he had a great sense of humour, Harry, and you know, things would have caught his eye as unusual or strange, and he was there quick as lightning with his camera to record it.
Paula, being a professional photographer yourself, it is a gift, isn't it, that you have? You can anticipate that something's going to happen.
Yeah, just to be fast, and also just with practice, you get faster and faster, so you do know what's going to happen next, yeah.
And even the concentration of the wee girl, I'm going to let, she's like John Wayne there, I'm going to let you have it, you know. I'd love to know who, if she's still alive. It's, you know, it's an absolutely brilliant photograph.
Yeah.
Now we'll move on, and this is another now one which I do feel very sad looking at this one, because look at the pram. And what she's doing is she's not even lifting up. You see the tiny wee pieces of coal on the ground? They're not big types of coal that would fall off the back of a lorry. She's scraping them. It must, and the shoes. Look at the shoes. It's a wonderful, wonderful photograph, that.
Harry, I don't think there's even any tires on those rims of the wheels.
No, there isn't actually, Paula. Yeah.
And I don't know why.
But what did she used obviously the pram to do this, because you couldn't put food or anything in it.
For her fire, obviously, and like, you know, my dad, he would have been a young man. Why he stopped to take that photograph, you know, obviously he had a great sense of justice, so he obviously felt this is wrong, or this is unusual, or, you know, I suppose everybody else was just passing by, you know.
Yeah. And he got it spot on. You can see everything, like her shoes and the pram and her scarf, and she doesn't seem to very much of a coat on her either. God help her. Yes, indeed. But let's move on now to, this is a wonderful, wonderful photograph here, and it is of Hallidays. People will call it Clark's, but it's Hallidays when it came to Ireland first. And that was a way back, of course, Paula, in 1928. I saw from the information that was on them. But that, to me, imagine stuck in the middle of all them and walking in them conditions. Like, the conditions are not bad, but God, it must have been boring.
Yeah, and I think there was great spirit in the place as well. They employed up to over 1,200 people there, you know. And they seem to have, there seems to have been great camaraderie between them, and dances and
I think the camaraderie seemed to come, I think, Paula, when Clark's took it over, and I'm not saying it was because of Clark's, but I think in those days, I'm just wondering, was because the way they're set out there, they couldn't even talk to each other, and I'm sure the noise and everything. Look at the concentration on them. I mean, it is just absolutely brilliant photograph.
Harry, there was one lady right in the middle there when I was looking at this photograph. This lady here, she's right in the center. She has a very unusual look on her face. It's very zoned out. You know, it's very, I'm miles away and I'm doing this job.
Yeah, and the girl in front of her with the white blouse is the same. She's concentrating on what she's doing.
This lady's concentrating, but this lady is at the dinner dance that weekend. She's not present.
She's you'll get her sacked, Jason.
Well, the funny thing is that when people look at this photograph, there's so many people in this, and I know my mother worked in Clark's, and that looks a bit like her there, so I'm going to show her that photo there. But I'm sure.
No, this was Hallidays, remember, Jason?
Yeah,
this was not Clark's.
Yeah, she worked in Hallidays as well. So
did she?
Yeah, there was a bit of a crossover.
Clark's took over Hallidays.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It probably depends on the year, but as you say, how many people's in that photograph? It's 100, 200. I don't know.
And when I noticed all the supervisors in white jackets, they all look to be like men to me.
Well,
the supervisors.
Yeah, it seems like the men were the supervisors. Although there's a lady there, Paula. It looks like a lady there.
Do you think?
Oh,
could be.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. But the one thing that struck me as well is it was quite bright. The back of the building seems to be quite open, like it's not dark. Or maybe that was the skill of your dad to be able to open up the shutter. But it looks to be bright working environment. But as you say, Harry, very noisy, quite cramped. Probably not that enjoyable.
Do you know there's a good story about Clark's trying to buy that site?
Okay.
I'll be as quick as I can because I know you're on a time limit here. But basically, 27 years before Clark's closed, they were adamant to get that site, which was the athletics grounds. But the athletics ground was used in Dundalk for everything: soccer matches, football matches, the Dundalk show, the carnival. It was used for everything. And, you know, all the different teams in that were adamant that Clark shouldn't get that site, the GAA in particular. But they said that, you know, they were going to be employing all these people, and they were going to employ another 200. They'd already 900. And if they didn't get that site, they were going to Santry. And that was that. So Dundalk would lose out on all the jobs. But the whole of Dundalk was kind of saying, well, no, this is where all our action happens. You can have, they really begged them, the councillors, you know, to take any other site in Dundalk, but no, they wanted that site. And eventually a priest intervened and tried to settle it, and he managed to hold on to all the jobs in Dundalk. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, there's a great photographs anyway there of holidays, formerly known as Clark's. Great memories altogether. Now we will move on to our next one. Now this one here, I think, in its own way, is one of the saddest ones of the whole lot of that we are showing you this morning. This is, look at the brown cases. Now we're talking here in the 1950s, the late 1950s. And those cases was all that these men had belonged to them. And the GNR closed, and they were all, most of them going to England. They'd know where to stay. They were staying lying on the floor with friends over there. And that was their life there with the cases. And I know that because I spent a few years in the late 50s over in London, and I had an old brown case like that going over. Paula, it's a very sad one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's photographs in the book, and it shows the last day of all these men working and leaving the GNR works. And a lot of these men would have been quite skilled now in their profession.
Yeah.
They would have gone to the VEC, and they would have gone to night courses, all to do with engineering. And then the big GNR works closed, and over 1,000 jobs were lost. And these same men then, you know, many of them had to emigrate then.
The thing about it is too, Paula, that the train that they're getting now to go to get a boat over to Holyhead was actually the train that they built up in the GNR.
Yeah. They would have built the same train that they had to leave town on, you know. And you can see the wives and the daughters and kids around as well that they were leaving behind, you know.
It is really so sad. It's and I've seen them over there in England, like the way some of them ended up. You know, it's really, really sad. Right, okay, now let's move on to this, which of course was part of our lives. Look at that. And look at all the cars. And this is the customs, of course. Now, the problem here was, Paula, that there was customs on both sides of the border. And the cars were lined up on both sides. I don't know what they were taking. I see where most of the stuff came from the north to the south.
Yeah, because of the taxes, you know, would have been higher in the south, and, you know, people would have gone north to get things, you know, at a cheaper price.
Yeah, and that was the time of the butter and all the stories about the people going over on the bikes for the butter and everything. Yeah,
so like that went on really to, you know, 1993 when we joined the European community, and then we were all member states, so you didn't have to wait in line at the customs controls, you know. But
I remember Paula and Harry, sorry, this little guy's face here, I can just see him in the car. In the mid-80s, when my family was going to Newry, and maybe they might have bought some electrical goods, when we were coming back in the car, we used to have to pretend we were sleeping in the back of the car.
Not to disturb you.
As not to disturb us, and in our heads we thought that would get us through. But I suppose, especially with Brexit coming, we thought these photos were a thing of the past, and we hope they are.
I
Yeah.
hope they are.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Paula, what year would you say that was taken there?
Um,
Ti-
I think that was in the 70s.
So, but that wouldn't have been in the Troubles. There wouldn't be that many going down there, would there? During the Troubles, 69 on, would they?
Yeah, so like, yeah,
Must have
crossing the
been.
border. Yeah, yeah. So it, like in Derry at the time, they would have had the army on the border as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
No,
But
but this was just
they weren't up.
customs.
Yeah, it's a fascinating. It's when you look at these, you can ask so many questions about them, can't you? You know,
Yeah.
it's
So
wonderful.
there would have been British Army surveillance posts all around them as well. You know,
Yeah.
just inside the border. You know.
Yeah, no, are there the Irish customs, of course,
Yeah.
there because the stad, and so is the which way is the cars coming? I wonder, Paul, are they coming up from the north to the or the other way? What's
Gosh, I'm not sure now the way
I
you.
yeah, I think they are like Newry Cooley
they're
Mountains.
they're going home, are they, Jason,
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
north?
yeah. I think that's the north going south.
Yeah, yeah. Wonderful, wonderful photograph, and as clear as a bell. Now we are just going to our very last one, and this is, I know this is Jason loves the Old Dundalk Shopping Centre. And you know, Jason, doesn't it look so well there?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a few things I spotted in this photograph that I really like. One was whatever, whoever come up with the idea of having a fashion show in the middle of the shopping center was a great idea because the models could come down on one set of stairs, do the catwalk, and go back up on the other. So it was quite ingenious way.
How do you know that, Jason? Were you
Well,
there?
put it this way: if I was doing it, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
And
I was wondering were you there and see them going up and down the
no,
stairs, you
no,
know?
it was a bit. The other thing that struck me is that this area here is all light. The light's coming through. So this must have been before the Ashley Arms and before Paz, because that my memory of it is that that was all closed up then after that. Or maybe I'm hoping I have the right end here. Maybe it was Carol's Bookshop was this end. But
I think, Jason, is that not, what do we say? I'm not quite sure either. But listen, you're saying about the fashion. Tommy Clark did for about 4 nights Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
yeah,
Up there, yeah, and they did it down where the model is down there, and all the audience was standing around the whole, and the
Oh.
place packed
yeah.
for about three or 4 nights. He did it for.
Paula, what year was this?
That was 1970. Well, I think that was about 1976 or so.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would. Yeah, as a matter of fact, Paula, it could. Yeah, it was around that because that's the time that Tommy Clark was doing Joseph.
Oh,
Around that time, maybe slightly, 72, 73.
well, it was built in 1974. So, and it
Oh,
does look
was it? Oh,
new
well, it
looking.
was immediately then. It must have been just after it
It
opened
was
then.
there for
Yeah,
about 40 years.
yeah.
And they did do some
Wonderful.
changes to it because I remember, like, my memories of it are from the 80s onwards. A couple of things I remember was there's a clock missing here. There was a clock that was there for like 20 years, 30 years.
I
And
remember the
more.
music shop up there.
Yeah. And the other thing is this piece of artwork, I remember that there, but that was removed. That was a centerpiece. It was like a metal structure. And there was water flowing in here in these
Yeah.
areas at both ends.
Jason, can I ask you something? What is it that the love that you have for the Old Dundalk Shopping Centre? Every photograph, front, back, you look at anything got to do with the shop. What is it?
It's just nostalgia, Harry. It's part of my growing up. I spent a lot of time.
You're too young for nostalgia. It's all right
No,
for me.
I spent a lot of time in the shopping centre as a kid, and that's what we
Yeah, of
did.
course it was. It was really in those days. There was nothing else, and that was the place to go, wasn't it?
So modern
Yeah, and
kids.
then there was the casino cinema, wasn't it just
Yeah.
beside it?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I saw some of the best movies in there from like Crocodile Dundee in 1986, and I remember somebody brought me to see Grease in it, and
Yeah,
it was
me
that
too.
packed. We sat on the floor. Imagine the health and safety implications. Never get away with that nowadays.
And they were very tiny cinemas,
Yeah.
wasn't it? There was two of them,
They're
wasn't there?
small, two small ones. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
seeing Jaws in it.
yeah, yeah. So there we are. That's the 10 that I picked out of them, and I'm certainly looking forward to the book to see the rest of them. I can see me, but I'd have to get a few people around a table and go through them. You know, that's the way that you can get different angles, like the three of us have done this morning. You know,
To enjoy
so.
it, yeah.
But again, Paula, that was absolutely brilliant. And will you just tell us again how they can get, uh, like, will it eventually be now in shops, or will it always be on the web?
Yeah, it'll just be on the website, but then I think also there'll be a couple of bookshops that will want to stock it, you know.
Yes, yeah.
So we will talk to them.
Yeah, because it's something I think that, you know, a lot of people going for that book would be older people, young people as well. But uh, sometimes it ties their hands if it's only on the web, and a couple of shops would be a good idea. All right, Paula.
Yeah.
That's a lovely photograph of your dad there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will remember him as
Ah,
looking like that.
he dressed and was immaculate all the time, wasn't he?
Mm.
And he always had a smile on his face and chatted and talked to everything. He was just a lovely, lovely man.
Yeah, yeah.
And delighted that this book has been done with his work, and that I had a
Thanks,
wee
Harry.
bit of something in it this morning. I had great time for it all.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll wrap it up there, folks. And just as a reminder, the website address is pkphotography.ie, or if you Google Paula Kavanagh photographer, you'll find
Yeah,
the website.
yes, right, okay.
So we'll wrap it up for today.
Wrap it
Thank you
up
very
now,
much.
Thanks,
Jason.
guys. Thanks very much.
Cheerio. Bye.
See you, Paula.
Bye.
Bye bye.